Hello, everyone. This is BizChicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. Today's Monday, so you know we're here with coffee, tea, thoughts, and conversations, and with my partner and friend, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva, celebrating her birthday month. And we just want to say hey to everyone watching on the replay, and for those of you in Clubhouse and all of our other streaming destinations. We just love you guys. We appreciate you, and we want to just acknowledge that without you, hey, we just get somewhere and sit down, okay? But because we love you and we have information that can help you and help us, we're having these conversations. So come on, get hydrated, get your favorite drink, coffee, tea, water, whatever you hydrate with, and let's have a conversation today. How you doing today, friend?
I'm doing very well.
All is well.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you to everybody watching live and on the replay, just like Terry said, and all of those who are coming into Clubhouse. And yeah, so let's talk about courage.
Mm-hmm.
Courage is an adjective, and it means not deterred by danger or pain. Not deterred by danger or pain. And then there's another little something over here. Courage is the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation.
All right.
Yeah, so, all right, here's another definition. Courage is the quality of being ready and willing to face negative situations involving danger or pain. A close synonym is bravery. Showing courage is often thought of as facing such situations without fear, but it also involves facing them despite fear. Why are we talking about courage?
Wow. Well, as entrepreneurs, we're going to need some courage.
Right. We're going to need courage. Hey, Pat, we're going to need courage, and we're going to need courage to take that next step, because a lot of times we're not going to be able to see what that next step looks like. We may not be able to see all of the intricacies of the next step. What does that look like?
Wow. So it's like putting your foot down on the unknown. Okay.
Right. Everybody remembers Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Where they were going to get find the cup. And when they got past all of the other dangers and stuff, then there was this big chasm that they had to cross. And everybody was like, oh my God. And he had to take a leap of faith. And when he put his foot out and stepped down, there was a path. But you wouldn't have seen the path until you took the step.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Okay.
You may not know what the next step is until you put your foot out there to take the step.
Okay.
There was a Bible story where the children of Israel were going across with the Ark of the Covenant, and the water was at flood stage, which means it was like high. You couldn't swim it. It was a rush. But the moment that they put their foot in the water parted. But they had to take the step in order for the water to part. And maybe that's what we're talking about.
And they had to keep moving towards it, even though they knew it looked impossible.
There's waters and there's stuff coming. And the whole situation is you're going to need courage. Hey, TJ, you're going to need courage to take that next step. You may not have all of the answers.
I was going to say, even when you don't know what it is.
No, you don't know what the next, but the one answer leads to the next answer. I think there was a strategy I learned when I was studying for my real estate license. Somebody had gave us a strategy of just answer the first questions. The one you don't know, you put it over to the side and put that number over to the side, and because you're going to come back to it, knowing that as you go through the answers on this, the ones that you do know, something is going to trigger you so that you can figure out that other one you didn't know as you went through, instead of staying stuck on that one thing that you didn't know. You can't stay stuck on that, oh my God, and I can't do this, and it's here. Go to the next thing. And that next thing may answer the question that you're on right now. It doesn't, hey, D, the next thing, you're going to need to take the next step. And then if I'm saying this, let me clarify. Yes. Taking the next step may require you to be uncomfortable, which is you don't know everything, but taking the next step is going to bring you information that you're going to need for the next adventure. But you got to take the step to get to that adventure.
Here's something that I want to say to people. It takes courage to take a step into the unknown, but it also takes courage to go with what you know. So many times we are so concerned about the unknown and learning something new that we abandon what we are really good at, trying to get to the next big thing or the next shiny thing when what we're doing is working for you. If it's working for you, for God's sake, keep doing it, people. Show up. That takes courage too. It takes courage to show up every day, especially if it's show up every day and do the routine thing, because sometimes it feels like you're in a rut or you just get bored. But if you're an entrepreneur and that is giving you success, don't abandon it for something new. Okay, you can add to, but don't walk away from what's working for you. What do you think about that? Hi, Jerry. How you doing? Hi, Patricia. So good to have you here.
Well, we got Dryer Buzz, D-Works, and TJ in the clubhouse. Did anybody want to weigh in?
Yeah.
We are talking about courage. Courage getting you to your next step. Taking the courage to get to the next step, and then courage in the next step. Anybody want to weigh in? Because it took some courage for you guys to do what you do.
Absolutely, especially those who have joined Clubhouse, learned Clubhouse, and
D.
Oh my goodness, you really said something there when you said about moving on till you see the shiny thing, and leaving behind what you're good at. I'm guilty of that.
I am too. My hand is up, D. Go ahead.
But I love the connections that I've made here on Clubhouse because being connected with you ladies is forcing me to refocus and keep my eye on the prize, the main prize. And it was like it's like the relationship with God. It's like return to your first love.
Exactly.
So in business, we have to do that. Return to our first love. I definitely am.
Okay, I'm gonna mute Fran because evidently Macy is having a morning. Okay, but if I mute her, then we won't be able to hear you, D. Go ahead.
D? No, that's fine. I was done. That's just what I want to say. Yeah, it's important. It's important to refocus, but the most important thing too is when you can identify when you have lost track of yourself. And it's okay to stop doing a thing that's not working for you and return to the thing that was working. And in my case, like doing my show, D-Works Live, I was doing it before for years, and I just kind of stopped.
Mhm.
And I stopped because I felt like people weren't paying attention when people actually were paying attention. So the payoff is not always instantaneous when you're doing something. It may show up and reveal itself in ways that you don't even realize way down the line. So you just have to now I've adopted the saying, be persistent and consistent, so that you don't miss out. And the race is not given to the swift or the strong, but to those that endure to the end. Thank you. I'm done speaking.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it takes courage to keep doing what works. Here's the other thing, Dee, that I want to say to you and everyone listening, and that is that sometimes we're just ahead of our time. So many times we're ahead of our time. Mm-hmm. So sort of like when Twitter had the short videos, and they abandoned it. They walked away from it, and boom, here comes somebody, 10 years later, and they're the number one app. Sometimes we have things in our hand and we don't really realize it. It's just that he gave it to us so early so that we can build it and learn, how to profit from it. So guys, if you're working on something and it seems like it's taking a while, like Dee said, persevere. That takes courage.
Right. Terry, not Terry, no, Terry, TJ Terry.
I'm Carolina. How you doing, Terry?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
No, I wanted to talk about what D-Work said, that, very good points. And then she also mentioned the thing about doing a show and then stopping because, nobody's watching or listening. And that's what I would say 80 or 90% of everybody that's online doing when they don't, I call it having Kardashian numbers. Oh, I gotta have Kim Kardashian or one of the Kardashian, they got like 200 million people or something. But maybe that isn't that group for you to serve. But you have to realize that you are reaching someone, which D-Work said that she realized that she was reaching someone, because you have to realize a lot of people are online and they're silent. They won't say anything. They appreciate what you're doing, but they won't say anything. They won't comment. They won't talk to you anything until you stop. And then they go send you a message. Well, what happened? You were doing XYZ on this certain day. And what happened? You go, well, I didn't think anybody was listening. So that's a part of it, the courage. You have to have the courage to keep going on, even when you don't have the Kardashian numbers. So let's forget about the Kardashian numbers. My big thing this month, I'm talking about spring cleaning, your marketing strategy. And it's about, focus on what you have to do, who you have to serve, your message you have to say, and put it out there. Put it out there. You don't have to have Kardashian numbers. That's not the level of success. The level of success is that you're reaching someone and making a difference with one person. One. And you're doing it consistently, like D-Work said. I'm Terry. I'm done speaking.
All right. And we got a comment from Mark Ward. He says, I always try to remember that the road is not ahead. You're already on it. And the pothole is not the road. You may be having a challenging moment, but it's just a moment. Remember who you are. Wow. Very well said, Mark. Thank you. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Well, let me ask you this. Guys, how many of us have lost touch at some time in our lives with who we were or who we are? I had a couple of identity crises where I just, gave my identity over to others by letting them make negative comments, and then I just received that. Or I don't know why you doing that, girl. Nobody's going to buy that. Or I don't know why you doing that. Nobody. You da 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 da. Have you ever experienced that? You got talked out of who you really are, which is a successful entrepreneur.
Well, I'm thinking at one time or another we had to face it and make it a decision to make the decision to get back on the road or get back to who we were. the comment that Dee made about taking the courage to stop something that you didn't think you need to be doing, or stopping just because other people thought you should be doing it, and then you stop because of something you needed to do, where you were talking about who you are. I don't like spumoni ice cream, so I'm gonna stop eating it. And then people are asking you, well, why did you stop eating that ice cream? Well, it's because it wasn't really me. But then on the other hand, keep doing things that are working for you. Like TJ said, you're moving forward and you're doing something every single day, and nobody is saying anything, but they're watching, they're connecting, they're doing it. And I was reading a book by Seth Godin. He said, you got to show up every day. You still have to show up, even when you think no one is watching, when you think they're not doing it. And that's the boring part of business, is doing the same thing every single day, because this is what the customer and the client is expecting. So you show up, and it takes courage to get up,
Exactly,
put on the uniform, open the doors, and do it. And the corporations, the major corporations, do it all the time. What happens if Walmart decided, okay, I don't feel like getting up today and opening the doors? Because now they are in service to others. That people have come to depend on them for a particular service. That, okay, I know I can go here, the doors will be open, and I can get what I need.
So now you're creating uncertainty. I don't know if I should get up this early to go to Walmart, because I don't know if the doors are going to be open, or they weren't open last week, and so people begin to question whether or not they can depend on you.
And so that's the difference between a boutique business and, okay, maybe a hobby and a business. The hobby is like, well, I don't feel like doing it today, so I don't do it today. Where the business, when it's a business and they got shareholders or people to answer to, you still got to have courage to do it anyway. When Walmart was small and just a local store, they had to have the courage to open and open every day. You might have to drum up courage to show up for your clients every day, or to show up and do whatever it is that you need to be doing every day. Jerry Scott says, I am pushing on. And then Mark has a comment here. He says, the value of shared expertise is not to become the one sharing it, but the inspiration to evoke your own inner wisdom, combined with theirs to become more of who you are. Again, the value of shared expertise is not to become the one sharing it, but the inspiration to evoke your own inner wisdom, combined with theirs to become more of who you are. So you're going to take the iron sharpens iron syndrome, where you're picking up the attributes of someone else that helps you be stronger.
I love that. Mark, you always have such profound statements. I really love this.
Anybody else want to weigh in? We're talking about courage to move forward, courage maybe to stop, courage to change, courage to take that next step. But nonetheless, courage. Courage is required.
I like that. Courage is required. That's good.
And we talked about the definition of courage is facing the quality of being ready and willing to face negative situations involving danger or pain. A close synonym is bravery. Showing courage is often thought of as facing such situations without fear, but it also involves facing them despite the fear. There are some things that we're going to have to do. They're uncomfortable, but we need to persevere and move forward in spite of uncertainty or intimidation. You do it anyway.
So mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty is a definition from Merriam-Webster. And it goes on to say some of the synonyms: courage, mettle, spirit, resolution, tenacity mean mental or moral strength to resist opposition, danger, or hardship. Courage implies firmness of mind and will in the face of danger or extreme difficulty, the courage to support unpopular causes. And it says, suggests an ingrained capacity for meeting strain or difficulty with fortitude and resilience.
So what are you facing that's going to require you to push past some resistance or push past uncomfortableness?
Some danger, some hardship, some opposition.
And I'm the danger and the hardship and all of that, but sometimes it could be little minor things. It just
resist opposition.
Just resisting. If you need to be more healthy,
mm-hmm.
That's, you got to change your lifestyle. Now I got to rearrange a schedule, which could cause, it's painful to rearrange a schedule sometime. Once you got everything set up the way you needed to, but now you need to readjust the schedule. Okay. There's a pain involved with that, but it needs to happen. Mark has another comment, and he says, and it is important to remember that we often categorize it as negative because it didn't happen as we expected or wanted.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean it's true. Everything that happens to you happens for you if you will allow it. If you will allow it. I like the comment. Anybody want to weigh in over here in Clubhouse? Everything that happens to you. TJ, go ahead.
Yeah, so because I'm thinking about the title courage and what Mark said, which is all very good points. And it's a part of this courage is that you have, the other side of that is the fear of losing the control, because you have that fear that keeps you from doing things. And you have to say, hey, I got to let go of the control of the outcome and have the courage to do it anyway. And that's in little things or big things or life, or starting a business, running a business, doing something on social media. Even with doing live stream and doing live videos, a lot of people are hesitant. A lot of business owners are hesitant. But it's like the best tool that you can use right now to break through, but they're hesitant about it because it's like, I'm going live or I'm saying something live and I don't control the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are watching controls it. That, they might say, spammy things or troll, but you have to get the courage to say, I'm going to face whatever comes when somebody's saying something. And then realize that the tool that you use to do the live or everything has some built-in features, and we said on Friday that I think Instagram and Facebook are starting to put more things in to block certain words. So that will help you get over the fear of doing it and have the courage to add to what you need to do online. Because we need to do those things that that can help us grow, but you have a hesitancy or a fear, but you got to get over it and have the courage to do it. I'm Terry. I'm done speaking.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really good. You got to push through. Okay, because you can still put an ad in the yellow pages if you want to. They'll take your money, but that's not where it is right now. I'm thinking of a person who, they are comfortable with the way things have always been. Okay, I can put I'm going to put an ad in the yellow pages, and then they have a landline phone and they're waiting for people to call them on the landline phone, or but they're not using email, or they're not using text, but they're still wanting to do business the way they used to having business done, because they don't want to do what Mark is talking about here, they didn't want to change things. They wanted to stay the same because it's comfortable this way. I've gotten used to, they would call people and people wouldn't call them back. Well, because your clients now are on text. Terry, what did you tell me about your client? I mean, your dentist or eye doctor or something?
My eye doctor. He didn't even use email. I mean, I couldn't get a text to remind me about my appointment. No real electronic. He just had a receptionist that was just calling everybody, calling to see if we wanted to schedule. And I'm like, I'm not going to remember this date, even though it's in my calendar or whatever. I've got a life. And so she said, no, we don't do that. We'll call you. And I'm like, okay, look, my phone's on silent most of the time.
So not willing to get out of a comfort zone, taking courage to get uncomfortable. It takes courage to be uncomfortable, to learn and do new things. I was watching a guy work out in the outside here. It was like 40 something degrees, and he's shirt off doing his burpees and all of that. I don't like burpees. Mm-hmm. I didn't like them in high school. I still don't like burpees. But he was getting fit and doing what he needed to do despite the cooler weather. Mm-hmm. Now, if you move more, your body will warm up and you won't, and the cold weather's not going to bother you. But you have to take on that first cold chill. Like, ooh, when you walk out the door, start moving. TJ?
No, Fran, I was just going to say, you might want to explain burpees for somebody might not know what the burpees is.
Okay, burpees are a move that you do where you stand up, you do a squat, you kick your feet out to the back, you bring them and you jump back into the squat and stand up again. Yeah, that was not fun.
Not what I had in mind at all.
So you can go online on YouTube and see burpees in action, but I was like, oh no. I remember doing them because my legs are long, and so in order for me to bring them back under me and stand back up again, that takes quite a bit of effort.
Mm-hmm. So we have a comment here from Mark.
Mark said, you are letting go of something that you never really had. Clear intention is your job. The outcome is not. Oh.
So we're not responsible for
responsible for the outcome. We are supposed to do, I agree, Mark, that we're supposed to do the things that we're supposed to do. And then the outcome is not my job. This has been a little lively conversation. Courage is not an easy thing to talk about either, because it's not comfortable. Like burpees, they're not comfortable. But getting up early in the morning and walking in the cool when it's not cold. I mean, it's not warm. It's not a comfortable time. And when I'm walking around the park, I went to Land Park today, Terry. When I walked, it was eerily empty. There was like nobody. Other people didn't come out until the sun had come up a little bit.
Okay.
Because it was cold. It was 40 something degrees, and that's not cold by Mark's standard over in Chicago or Terry's in New York, but it was cold. And I was like, okay, so what do? Okay, I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to layer up. That means put on a couple of more layers of clothes, put on and go now. Mm-hmm. And I had, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, what temperature was it you said again?
41.
Yeah, that's warm.
Yeah, see, according to New York time, that's warm. But here it was cold, and I was like, okay, I got to go. I have done it in 32 degree weather too, but for the people on the East Coast, I know that ain't a lot. But for California, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
But but you got to do it. So do you stay in and not be healthy, or do you go? Hey, Tiffany. We are talking about courage and courage to do and push and do what we need to do, even if it's uncomfortable.
Someone asked the question, how do you remain courageous when your leaders are not encouraging?
That's a good, okay. And I think Mark probably can speak to this. How do you remain courageous when your leaders are not courageous? This is a question we actually got this morning.
Or encouraging when they're not encouraging.
Or when they're not encouraging. Mm-hmm. Anybody want to weigh in on that? How do you read it again?
How do you remain courageous when your leaders are not encouraging? So in other words, listen to other folks put you down or whatever.
Okay,
we talked about this when we came in, but let's address it.
Mark says, I always tell my clients to do the thing on your to-do list for which you have the most resistance first. Then you will have enough energy to move you forward. So do the hard thing first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a good one. Anybody else want to weigh in? What do you do? How do you remain courageous if your leaders are not
encouraging
you? TJ?
Well, I mean, I when I heard that, it reminded me of the previous, and I'm not getting into politics. I'm just going to mention this person that we don't talk about. When they were elected in 2016, and the day after the election, there was such a feeling, and I went on and did a live stream and said, who your president is doesn't affect your business. It doesn't. You may think it does, but it doesn't, because you control your actions, your business, what's going on around you. So if you got an ineffective leader, you got to somehow figure out, well, I've got to make a plan and a strategy without that person's input or guidance. And I have to act independently of that until I find, another leader that is positive or a mentor that's positive and can help me. But until then, I got to fly blind or not fly blind, but make a strategy and a plan of my actions. What am I going to do to get through? And this was the thing I was saying, what are you going to get through for the 4 years? Because I said in 4 years, we'll have another president. So you need a plan for those 4 years. And then hopefully things will get back to a different spot, which they have. But that was my thing. I was like, okay, so we've got this person in office. What are we going to do? Let's not focus on too much on that guy. Let's focus on what we're doing in our lives to build our business and get going. And I said, you got to have an action plan and stick to it, even though, you're looking over there going, that's bad. Like the leadership of the country, that's bad. But what can you do on a local level to keep going?
Here's the other thing too. Sometimes discouragement can be in your own home, you know what I'm saying? Or someone close to you, because you're not going to be discouraged by someone who doesn't have influence over you. You could care less. But if you care about that person or have an important relationship with them and they say something that's discouraging, it can really throw you off. So you have to keep a guard over who you share your entrepreneurial aspirations with. I know I didn't tell my family till I started making money. I didn't even tell them. I didn't ask them to buy nothing. I didn't let them know I was in business. I just went and did what I was going to do. And once it was successful, I shared with them what was going on. And I think we talked about this dryer buzz on Saturday. Didn't we sort of touch on this?
Okay.
We did.
Because everything is not for you to fix, and no is a complete sentence.
So go ahead, Tiffany.
I think just thinking about the question reminds me of myself. And I would say, if you're not getting encouragement from your leader, number one, the first thing to do is evaluate your leader and why you chose that person to be your leader. Number two, why are you such a follower as a person that you have to depend and worry about the encouragement that you receive from the person you chose to be your leader? And number three, really sit down and analyze again why you feel it necessary to rely on or lean on that person so much that it derails you when you don't get encouragement from that leader, and that it bothers you when that leader is not acting in a such a leading capacity. And so I say all that to say, me personally, I have I'm a leader. That's the type of personality that I have. But when I started my business, I noticed that I relied very heavily on other people's words of encouragement and approval, and just you're doing it right, or you're doing it wrong. You should do something else. And eventually, I got to the point where when someone told me 2 weeks ago here on Clubhouse that I've never even met, that I needed to step back and quit everything that I love to do and focus on one thing, or else my business would fail. And it didn't make any sense for me to be in business for something other than money. That's when I realized I need to be able to lead myself. And if the people that I assume are acting in a leadership capacity, if they up in one day, are not offering me words of encouragement, are actually making me second guess myself and the things that I love to do, then that's not a leader. And I should be a leader in for myself enough to be able to recognize that almost immediately and be able to reevaluate who I am personally putting on these leadership pedestals. So I would say, really sit down and make sure that or understand why you're giving this person so much power, to where when they stop that flow of encouragement, it does everything but derails you.
Wow.
I just
Can I chime in?
Yeah. Go ahead, Driver Buzz. Go ahead.
I think Mark was jumping in. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, first of all, amen to Tiffany, to what you were saying. And I think one of the issues, of course, is if you're in an organization, you don't necessarily have a choice as to who your leader is. And I would say it doesn't matter as long as it is not interfering with your productivity, your performance, and your opportunity to move forward in the organization. If it is not impeding you in that respect, then what I always try to remember is when I start looking at who somebody isn't as opposed to who I think they should be, it's time instead to direct my attention to myself and what can I do to be more effective. And the other thing that I always try to remember is we have a tendency sometimes to continue to try to get certain people to see us, to value us, to acknowledge us. And the more they don't give it to us, sometimes the more that we want it. And for me, sometimes it's a reminder that one of our responsibilities is do not cast your pearls before swine. If someone does not see you for who you are and what you have to offer, move on. Move on. If you're in an organization where you have a job where it's the boss that doesn't see you for who you are, it only matters if it's impeding your ability to perform, to do your job well, to be rewarded accordingly. If it is, then it's time to find another position. You may want to find another position anyway, where you find someone who values you, but not everybody has that luxury.
All right, Driver Buzz.
Good. Yeah, I can piggyback off of that. One of the things that we did, I'm hearing the word leadership, but I'm thinking of something else, and it goes to what Mark just said. I remember finding a book in the grocery store, nonetheless, and it was called "Living with Screwed Up People." And it was really a dynamic book. Crazy title, caught my eye coming down the grocery store aisle. I bought it and I brought it home. And so we took the book as a family. And basically what you find out is who is it that you are not necessarily, but who you're living for. Who do you want encouragement from? Who do you want to give you, you're seeking the attention of somebody in everything that we do. And it's a natural thing to want somebody to encourage you, somebody to be proud of you. And too many of us have to kind of live without that, in the absence of it, right? And so the book Living with Screwed Up People basically allowed you to find the dynamic of the person who you wish would encourage you, that in everything that you do, you want their endorsement, kind of say. You just want them to approve of what you're doing. And the thing that stops you from doing it, because they may notice you or they may not. Most times the screwed up person is, they don't even realize, oh wait, you're waiting on me, right? Me to be a part of what you're doing, to see you. We all want to be seen. It's who we want to be seen by. Half the time they don't even know it. And the leaders oftentimes don't even know they're leading, don't know who they're leading. They often find out that they were admired by somebody, or that they in just doing their own thing inspired somebody else. So it's something we think in our head. We think we have these kind of connections, and we really don't. We really don't. But it's also paralyzing a number of people who would say they don't have courage because they don't feel seen, because they don't feel encouraged, inspired. And really, the person that they want it from doesn't even know they need to give it, So that's just a part of it. And it just means that we're all screwed up. I'll give you a case in point. In our household, we realized that there was a hierarchy, like me being a daughter. Of course, I wanted my mother's approval on everything. She didn't realize that. Then I have my oldest. She wanted my approval. And it went on down the line. I have the two middle kids. They're the closest of everybody, right? But there was almost like a tic-tac-toe, It's like, because say if I would tell my son, oh my God, I love what you just did. It didn't matter how many times I told him, because it wasn't my approval that he needed. It wasn't cool that mommy loved it. Mommy's going to love everything. But if one of the sisters stopped and said, dude, that's hot, right? Oh, he was all in. He leaned in, right? And the same thing with the oldest. It's like, if she got the approval of the youngest, she was like, oh, I'm doing something. So, you got to take time and figure out how you're connected, because that's where your help comes from. That's where your courage comes from. It's where your inspiration comes from. You got to clue people in. It comes back to that all the time. You got to let people know you want to be seen, and that you got to let people know you see them. I pass the mic. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
What Dryer Buzz said is so spot on, in that I think oftentimes we forget that the best way to get what you want is to ask for it. And sometimes what we do, I'll speak for myself, is I will indict and convict someone in my head for not doing what I think they should do, instead of just asking them for what I want and giving them the opportunity to step up and say, yes, let me give you what you want, to negotiate something different, or to say no. Instead, what we like to do is not take responsibility for asking for what we want, but judging someone for not giving it to us.
Wow.
Oh, and how many of us are walking around totally indicted, and we haven't even been on trial? We just, like, that whole thing going on in our head. Oh my God. So important, Mark. So important.
Hey. Wow. TJ?
Yeah, so I love the point that Mark and Dryer Buzz were making, and they created some thoughts in my head, and I was thinking about courage. Is like, think about the tool that we're using to communicate right now with each other, because we're all in different locations around the world, that somebody had the courage to stand on their own conviction and create a smartphone because they saw the vision of it and didn't allow someone else to talk them out of it or change their mind or saying, and this is Steve Jobs I'm talking about because I read his his biography, Walter Isaac or something. I can't remember his last name. It was
Isaacson.
Isaacson. Very good book because it explains his vision and thought process was singular, and everybody was telling him that he's nuts and crazy, and the things he was asking for were unachievable. But were they? Look at what we're doing. So that's what I'm thinking about courage and validation and who your leader is. If you've got a path to walk as a business owner, as a person in life or whatever, you trust your internal compass because it's leading you towards something that nobody else can see but you. And you let people say, well, okay, well, you're crazy. Like Terralina was saying that she didn't tell anybody about the business. That's fine. That's a great way to operate if you know you're going to get resistance. But it's about your internal compass, knowing that I got something, an idea or whatever it is I got to work on, and I'm going to do this thing even though outside forces are saying that it's unachievable, you're crazy, you're nuts, you're this and that. Yeah, I might be all of those things, but I got something to create that's going to change the world, and he did that. So I'm done speaking.
All right. And then we got a couple of comments here from Carlos. Carlos says the same with Elon Musk. What an electric car, a spaceship to Mars, battery-powered house. All of these people, and you know, all of the people that we are talking about here, they were, I don't know if I want to use the word vilified, but they were not spoken well of for the decisions that they made, for the courage to do that. And there was a danger in that to take, like, okay, I'm going to do this. Elon Musk giving away the plans and stuff for electric cars to the other car makers so that they can get on board. Go ahead, TJ.
I just want to point out to all of these people that we listed, Elon and Steve, and you can list Thomas Edison, whoever you want to list, that they had the idea. They had an idea. They're not different from any of us. They had an idea, but they're different because they acted on it and worked on it and went through, like I said, all of the repercussions and the people telling them they're wrong, and they said, I'm right, and ended up right at the end. But they all started with an idea that they worked on.
And let's not forget, pioneers are persecuted, and many of them are prosecuted until their ideas, become popular and so forth. That's a given. We know that now because they all have to fight through these things. And anytime someone mentions Elon Musk, there is also a woman in the race. She's on the Forbes list. She's in the racist space as well.
Right. Mark?
It brings up that quote that I brought up last week from Wayne Dyer, which is great achievers never rely on the good opinion of other people.
Wow. And then Carlos said people called Frankenstein crazy. Look who has the last laugh. All of this, all of the people who have done anything and all of the things that we're using, these people had courage to push through the laughter, the people laughing at them, talking about them, and not misunderstanding them. Disney is another one. The courage to, go hungry, feed the mouse before you fed yourself, but there was courage there to do it. And look what we have as a result of people who took courage. So today we would encourage you to take courage, take that next step, do what's in your heart. Like TJ and Mark and Dryerbuzz and Dee have all stated, take the courage despite what others say about you or to you and move it forward. Brenna says, well, I don't mind the idea they are progressive and helpful, but not the suffering of others. There's not everything is going to be perfect. But we wouldn't be having this conversation if he didn't take the courage to do something. And then it's going to be more courage is going to be required. Courage is required if you want to get where you need to go, or to put the thing out there. People need what you have to offer. Like TJ said earlier, it may not be on the Kardashian numbers, but maybe the 25 that are following you need what you have to offer. And do you have the courage to put it out there? So that's our conversation for today. Anybody else have any final words? Okay, I guess the dog does.
Well, the dog
I
has
just want to know
final words.
how can we all have these dogs?
And the
I
dog,
think I might be the only one that doesn't have one.
yeah, now the dog is normally quiet or whatever. And I'm like, what are you doing? I got both doors closed. Okay. So,
But I just wanted to say real quick that also, I just wanted to add on, one of the things you can do is make sure that you are aligning yourself with people who have the same values, the same drive and determination as an entrepreneur as you do. And so I think that being in rooms like this and being and finding your tribe, that's what you need to do. Find your tribe. And when you gather around your tribe, they can negate all of that negative noise that you hear coming from the leader that does not support you, or that does not encourage you, or that does not empower you. You get with people that can do that, refuel your energy, and go back again and tackle the journey and tackle the day. I'm Dee, and I'm done speaking.
Yeah. Well, I have a visitor. For those of you who are not on the live stream, my granddaughter is here. She's waving at y'all. Thank you, Jerry. Jerry says she's cute. So in case you were wondering what's going on in the chat. But yes, so we are live, and we want to thank you guys today for weighing in on what is courage and what it takes.
all right. Thank you all. We will be back on Friday on Clubhouse, but tomorrow TJ is coming in with all of that. TJ, do you want to tell us what you got going on?
Yes, tomorrow we're going to wrap up our spring cleaning, your marketing strategy for the month of April, and the last one would be I forgot the title, but join us tomorrow at the same time that you did for the BizChicks today. And I also want to say thank you everybody for the conversation, because it really helped me today. Right,
it really does. That's why, like Dee said, find your tribe, find people that are going to encourage you. And for the person that had the question, that's what you do. When the leaders that you are surrounded by, or the leaders that are with you, don't encourage you, you're going to have to encourage yourself, and then get in a tribe that will encourage you. And that's going to take courage for you to make that move too. All right, everybody.
You know, we want you to remember to go to the front of your own line. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.